Hello and welcome to a different video on my channel. I'm not really into drama and this is the first and last time I'll do this, but I wanted to go into why I think Hoyoverse is destroying itself and why I think it's kind of sad. Let's get started.
More please!
Genshin Impact. It seems like this game is everyone's favorite punching bag. It's hard to say it's not deserved though because of Hoyoverse's greed. Genshin is predatory, and yes, all gachas are predatory, but Genshin is the most intense version of this I've seen. Whether it be constellations where you have to pull 6 copies of the character, or exploration conveniences locked behind a paywall. Let's start with the constellations. As I said, you have to pull 6 copies of the character, which means you have to pull the character a total of 7 times, which takes an astronomical amount of primo gems, and you most likely won't have enough saved up, so you have to spend money for more. The constellations aren't minor buffs either, they are major and they completely overhaul the character, so Hoyoverse makes it really tempting to do it, and this usually costs $1,400 to $1,500 if you're lucky enough to beat the 50-50 gacha system. Other games have constellations as well, but again, Genshin has the most aggressive form of this I have seen. That isn't as predatory as locking exploration and traversal conveniences behind characters you have to pull for. These are not small things either, these are massive things that make traversal so much easier to, again, make it tempting for players to spend. Characters in Genshin swim like this, which makes it hard for players to reach certain islands. Farina? Oh, don't worry about it. She's anime Jesus. Give me $600 now. You climb very slowly and lose stamina very easily, making it difficult to scale walls. This new Notland character? Gotta go fast. Nahida can take a picture of something and it automatically goes into your inventory, so you no longer have to struggle to get materials on top of mountains or hard to reach areas. It requires no effort now. All you have to do is spend money and pull, guys. Come on, what are you waiting for? By the way, Cantarella doesn't deserve the hate. You can fly for free, climb like a boss, and at least she can swim. I'd rather spend $600 on that. It gets worse though. When Notland came out, they wanted to see how much they could get away with by having multiple paywalls locking traversal conveniences.
How's it going, everyone? This is Mackenzie here, back here with another video. If you were just like me, you will also be wondering, does exploration make a big difference when it comes to C0 Mavwika, C1 and C6?
Mavwika has a motorcycle that you can use for traversal, but you can only use it for a short time before her motorcycle runs out of gas. You can get more gas, but only if you get her constellations.
Rev the engines!
So as you can see here, it was all about 12 seconds with no sprinting. So that was about 15 seconds at C1 with no sprinting.
Try and stop me!
We didn't get too far, but we got about 3 seconds out of it with sprint. Sprinting lasted for about 5 seconds, which was an extra 2 seconds more compared to the C0. So we got about 4 seconds there with flying gliding at C0. So that is about 3 seconds at C0 with wall climbing. For crossing water and flying at C1, because they use a different meter, the duration doesn't actually change.
If you're wondering, just like the guy said, the motorcycle is not affected at C2 through C5. It only gets better at C6 after C1 because, well, you have to spend the maximum amount. That's what you're here for, isn't it?
Now, does this actually power creep exploration? C6 Mawika means that she has complete full uptime on her motorbike to explore, turning her into the best exploration character in the game out of combat.
All you have to do is spend thousands of dollars. That's practically a steal, right? If you're thinking she's now as broken as the characters I mentioned and you can do anything traversal-wise with the C6 Mavrika, well...
And wall climbing was also doubled at 6 seconds.
You can't even make it up tall walls. C6 Mavrika, everybody. Give us your money. This is why people don't like the game as much as they did back then. As well as just genuinely bad decisions overall, like how materials to build characters are locked behind certain days, causing players to schedule like it's a 9 to 5 rather than letting players get them whenever they want, therefore demotivating some players from getting better at your game. Isn't that the point? Artifacts used to make characters stronger are locked behind RNG for some reason, which sucks. The alternative here is to let the players grind for whatever artifacts they want. 24 hours over multiple years to get a Vermilion set? And this is only part 1.
This artifact set is the spit in the face to hard-working individuals everywhere.
One thing that's a little annoying, the character story quests in this game don't tell you what character the story quest is about. It's the Trolla chapter, the Noctua chapter, the Lupus Minor chapter, the Fabulae Textile chapter. I get it, it's their constellations, right? But why not just say the name of the character? I had to look it up. This is Janeline, and this is Diluc. Just say that. There's probably more things, but this portion of the video has been long enough, so let's head to Honkai Starbucks. Once upon a time it was being praised left and right. Now it seems like it's gone in the trenches with Genshin and is now an example of Hoyoverse's terrible storytelling and power creep. What are you looking at me like that for? I'll get to you in a second. The downfall of HSR started slowly. Pinacone released, and while many people enjoyed it, some people said it was overwrought with dialogue. You needed to get through 3 hours of it before you get to a 2-minute fight, a 10-hour story quest that was filled with dialogue that didn't really matter, and Rappa. But none of these complaints caught any traction as it was drowned out by the fans that loved it. Then Amphorius came out, and it all started snowballing from there. 3.0 was another 10-hour patch, and people were pissed at how much is told and not shown. The show not tell form of storytelling is a great one, and Hoyoverse refuses to use it. This was another thing that was a problem in Pinacone, where the characters would tell you how they felt with a blank expression on their face, as opposed to having a sad expression and not saying anything. But in Amphorius, that's increased tenfold. The quest tells you the past about this world, and instead of showing you that past, you stare at the back of characters' heads while someone is explaining it to you. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you get a picture. Hoyoverse is a multi-billion-dollar company. They should be able to make this game look better than Marvel, and yet they choose not to. It doesn't even seem like they're putting 20% of their revenue into this game with the amount of black screens there are.
Literally, all they had to do was animate her just putting her head against her head.
I mean, there's way too many of these. Can we get something different for once? Whoa! White screen with black text, HSR save! Red text too? Dang, they're going all out! When the 3.0 dev notes came out, everyone rejoiced and said that they listened to the complaints while other people say they did not. I'm part of the group that thinks they did not. Look at this. We have received feedback that the main story contains excessive lore exposition information and too much reading, resulting in feelings of fatigue and tedium. Immediately wrong. Gotcha Smack didn't like this part of 3.0 because it was the only good part of the story. He liked it because it was one of the only sections where you actually showed the cool things the characters were talking about. From everything I've seen, they think the story's pretty cool. They're just mad that while the characters are explaining this epic war between the titans, you're staring at butterflies for 15 minutes. Oh, and the fact that you can easily do better and choose not to. The story is good, the storytelling is bad. This is the point where Hoyoverse started to get a little bit impressive to me. There were so many people making videos on this storytelling issue, it was almost impossible not to listen, and yet they still got it wrong. Oh look, they added a skip button, except they didn't. If you look closely at the two images they gave, you have the option to skip after you've been talking to the character for a while. It's a half skip, a pseudo skip. By the way, I have never heard of a pseudo skip before in a gacha game. Hoyoverse is inventing new concepts just to stay stubborn in their ways. We also have Casterus. She may have a really sad backstory, but don't let that distract you. They really want you to forget about that global passive. Global passives are a new thing introduced in Honkai Star Rail, where you don't even have to have a character with a global passive on a team for their skill to activate. Just pulling Casterus gives everyone the buff. Now, without even looking at what her global passive is, that already sounds way too broken for my liking. I don't know about you, I would much rather have the buff only activate when she is in a team. I kinda get why Hoyoverse thought the global passives would be a good idea. Everyone is hating us right now because of the 3.0 story. Let's introduce this new powerful thing and they will be happy. I don't think they realized that it would make the game less fun. Casterus's global passive is a revive buff, and at first I thought it wasn't that bad. This only happens once, so I thought only one person on your team gets revived. But no, all team members get revived once. So I do think that's kinda unfair. It does say the revive doesn't properly work without a healer in your team, but that's a very easy workaround. Who isn't going to have a healer in their team when she drops? I think this is just a word salad to distract people. It is a crazy coincidence that they also released a boss that drains you to 1 HP. I wonder what that's coaxing people to do. A super powerful buff locked behind a paywall, huh? They pulled a Genshin. At least since Casterus is already overpowered, they won't buff her more, right?
E3 changes just dropped for Honkai Star Rail version 3.2, and Casterus actually got buffed. Casterus just got another wave of buffs in her V4 changes, and you don't want to miss this.
Come on! Editing captain here, I didn't really explain how Powercreep is a bad thing and why it's a bad thing that Casterus is super powerful right from the start. When a game releases a super powerful character, that renders previous characters obsolete. That's what Powercreep is. The previous characters are not as powerful as they once were, since the new enemies and bosses cater to the new characters, they don't stand a chance. It's kinda like when a new iPhone comes out and Apple slowly makes every previous phone worse and worse until you eventually get the new one. That's what it's like. And since the previous characters don't stand a chance, you have to get the new characters, meaning it's another scummy tactic to get people's money, which is why people don't like it. And also, it doesn't make the game fun. If all previous characters are obsolete and don't stand a chance, what's the point of trying to get better? If a new character could come in at any moment and blow the previous one out of the water. Let's stop talking about Casterus. You can be for, against, or indifferent to her. It doesn't really matter to me. Yes, she is a little too broken, but I think the more worrying aspect is that there will be more like her. What other global passive buffs are we going to get? This one already seems kinda overpowered. Maybe Casterus won't be much of a problem on on her own, but let's say more characters with global passives come out and you pull all of them. Then it'll be a problem. Those global passives are going to stack up and there would be no challenge anymore because all your characters have all these buffs. I really hope they listen, go back to the drawing board and scratch the global passives, but we know their track record. Hoyoverse, why won't you just listen? Can't you see you're ruining your own game? I'm gonna be real, this just looks like they slapped a percentage on here to make it look appealing for people, because what does 690% off even mean? And why is it still $5 then? It must have been really expensive before, huh? Zenless Zone Zero is not in any drama. The majority of people seem to really like it and they're happy, but I think this game is a great example of our expectations being messed up because of Hoyoverse's track record, and that makes me sad. Glaive Keo uploaded a video saying how good of a game ZZZ is and how this proves Hoyoverse can deliver. All of the comments say, well, let's see how long this lasts. At the risk of sounding like Paimon, don't you think this is sad too? Hoyoverse made a good game. It's doing all the right things and all people can think of is if they are going to mess it up. It isn't just this video either. I've heard content creators say this before. This should be a wake-up call for Hoyoverse. Everyone has trust issues with the ZZZ because of your other two games. What do you think that tells you? The Dev Talk 1.7 livestream and Season 2 teaser seem to have boosted people's spirits a bit, but there are some people who are still worried, including me, because guess what Hoyoverse announced?
Hoyo's new social sim gacha shows off concept art. Hoyo has so many gacha games coming, man. Like, they have the Honkai MMO coming some point after 2027. They have that new Honkai gacha game that's supposed to be like semi-open world, open world. They have Astaweave Haven, which is the Animal Crossing game. They have so many gacha games coming out. It's unbelievable.
7 new games coming out in the span of 4 years? And it looks like the first one comes out next year. If they are moving on to new games so quickly instead of sticking to the only one that doesn't have a problem, and also instead of fixing their other games, which so many people have asked them to do, I think it's pretty clear where their passions lie. ZZZ is not anything special, and who knows what'll happen to it. And honestly, I'm scared they'll also ruin... Here comes a Doom poster in the comments. What do you mean? Part 2 was ruined when it began. You're so funny. Look, you see my channel name, my description, the videos I make. I do like part 2, but that doesn't mean it's immune to criticism. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Chapter 1 was a mess, and you could say the whole first arc was. It had the same issues as HSR. Every chapter was 5 to 7 hours long. There was a lot of talking with little action. The storytelling wasn't great, and everyone spoke in riddles. No, I'm not. But to you, I am. Can one of you speak coherently? Well, the last chapters of part 1 also had that. The girl just drew an extremely deep yet perfectly normal breath. Science would reveal this instinctive behavior to be incredibly complex. Smooth muscle, alveoli, blood, mitochondria, citric acid cycle. They collaborate on different levels to complete body-wide exchanges to allow an organism to live another second. Yeah. Conversely, no matter how complex and sophisticated a skill is, as long as it can be programmed, it can become an instinct. Such as the action she was performing. Did they just take 4 sentences to explain that Bronya was breathing? Okay, you can say whatever you want, but that is hilarious. A lot of YouTubers I watched that played Honkai Impact character now don't because part 2 bores them. Even though the next arc has been a lot better, every chapter is under 4 hours, there were lots of character development, and chapter 6 was the best chapter of part 2 yet, it still has 2 big issues story-wise that I think is holding it back. I said this in the previous video, but I saw a comment that said part 2 story is a fever dream, and I can't say they're wrong. We are in chapter 7 of part 2. At this point in part 1, we didn't know everything, but we knew enough to be immersed in the moment, right? We still have no idea what's going on in part 2, and the length of time to get to chapter 7 of part 2 is way longer than it is to get to chapter 7 of part 1. We have spent 10 plus hours in Langju and still don't even know half of its mysteries. I feel like the mystery is being drawn out as well. Does anyone else feel this way? We were told about the 7 shoes in chapter 1. Fast forward over a year, we've learned about 1 of them. The other 6, we either still have no idea who they are or are still learning about them. I mean, I still have questions about Sanchi, but that's besides the point. I know the last arc was more about the main characters, but that still sounds insane to me. Thinking about it, we still have lots of questions about the main cast. A lot of people liked chapter 7, so maybe this is just me, but I didn't. I felt like it was a giant teaser for chapter 8 rather than chapter 7. Every lore bomb was mentioned once with no explanation diving deeper. They just moved past it. Whereas I feel like in chapters 5 and 6, every time they dropped some lore, they explained and expanded upon it. Every significant thing that happens in chapter 7 ends in a cliffhanger, which I guess is normal for gacha games and games in general, but combined with the last point, it just became annoying. I felt like it was a standstill for the arc, and we didn't really learn anything, we just got questions. Then we had chapter 4. There were some good moments in there and a really good ending, but it was mostly a slice of life happy chat with the 7 shoes that wasn't even real, by the way. If you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. But that kind of left me thinking, what was the point of this? Then we had 70X, which was better, but revealed a brand new character that was never mentioned before. It reminds me of Hello Neighbor. If you ignore the buggy side of the game, the lore was pretty good for the first few alphas. Then it started to get confusing and vague and drawn out. The speculation is that TinyBuild liked all the theory videos being made on it and started making it that way so that people could keep making them. I feel like this is what Hoyoverse is doing, and it's perfectly fine to keep mysteries in a story, but too much mystery is a bad thing. We still have a ton of questions from the first arc that we haven't mentioned since. There's only so many questions you can give us before I lose my interest. You should also probably pick up the pace with your mystery a bit. The next arc is about to hit double digits. If something major doesn't happen, I don't know what to do. Maybe I'm the only one who feels like this. Maybe I'm just going insane because I've been theorizing about Vegeta for 10 months. Baiji opened a portal in chapter 3. Remember that? I bet you don't because it was never mentioned again. Oh, but I do. It's been months. I'm nervous though because of the 9-week patches. I'm happy because the extra 3 weeks are going to make it so they can work on the game more and make sure the story and everything else is the best it can be. At least I hope that's what they're doing. The new and old UI has been clashing since 7.1 and it bugs me a little. On the other hand, it'll make what I just complained about with the drawn out story so much worse. It's not confirmed that the 9-week patches are a permanent thing, but I saw a Marissa Honkai video that says if it is, there will be only 4 more patches, aka 4 more chapters this year, and it's April. I'm not gonna lie, Marissa Honkai posted the 8.2 calendar, and when I saw that chapter 8 won't drop until the 3rd week of 8.2, I had a bit of an unkind reaction. You're telling me I had to wait 9 weeks, and now I have to wait 2 more? All of this may be me being impatient though. I'll wait, it'll be fine, right? It won't be fine. Sorry for the rant. Long story short, 4 chapters a year. Actually, it might be 5 a year because it was the end of March when Marisa released that video. 4 to 5 chapters a year are not enough for me, man. Even if chapter 8 is insane, it expands the lore so much. Ajita's revealed to be a sky person, she killed Coralie, and it's revealed that Sanchi's a cannibal. I'd go as far as to say all that wouldn't be enough to justify 4 to 5 chapters a year. Because if 9 week patches become a permanent thing and we're trapped in a 4 to 5 chapters a year schedule, part 2 will never end. And I say that because we still have all these places that we've never been to. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now before I go off the deep end. Overall, Hoyoverse has made some really bad decisions, and their love of money has clouded their judgment, and they're making their games not fun. So this is my request to Hoyoverse. Cease production on your 7 new games, prioritize your old ones, because people have been asking you to fix them for a long time. Make your games fun again, and if you do all that, maybe we'll want to spend money on your games. Doesn't that sound wonderful? What did you think of this video, guys? I already know the Hoyo shills will be after me for this one. They'll call it not real, they'll say it's AI, but trust me, it's true. Like I said, this is the only drama video I'll do. If you stay in any drama for too long, you'll end up in a toxic headspace, and I don't want that. But I also think this is important to voice your opinions on. Also, no hate to anyone I mentioned or referenced in this video. I either used you as an example or found the situation funny. If you liked this video, maybe subscribe. It'll help me out a lot, and for one last time, Hoyoverse, do better.